5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, ignition, liftoff.
Welcome. Thank you for joining us on the GHT Overland podcast. This is where you get the greatest interviews and insights from overland travelers around the globe. Learning from their stories and experiences as we interview overlanders from places like Australia, Africa, the Americas, the UK, and today, Nashville, Tennessee. You will learn the basics to the advanced in overlanding, so buckle up and get ready for a new adventure. I'm Chris.
And I'm Lisa. Today's featured guests are Michael and Ellen Hollis with Team Hunt. In 2011, their son Hunt was diagnosed with an energy disorder called mitochondrial disease. Team Hunt has raised close to $500,000 to support life-changing initiatives nationally.
That's amazing.
In the summers, the family packs up their Jeep for overland adventures. We met Ellen, Michael, and Hunt this summer in a Safeway parking lot after the Northwest Overland Rally. Today, we are humbled to have them join us to learn from their experiences and stories of overland travel with a unique perspective of traveling with their son.
However, before we get too far, we have an extra special guest for a very short period. Can you tell everyone what your name is?
Hi, I'm Hunt, and we are live from Team Hunt.
Awesome. And how are you doing today, bud?
Good.
Hunt, can you tell us what your favorite part of overlanding is?
Hiking!
Oh, I love that. And is there anything else you like to do with your parents when you're out exploring?
I don't know. Yes, I like camping.
Thank you, Hunt. Anything else you'd like to tell everyone that's listening?
Go Team Hunt!
Mike and Ellen, welcome to the podcast. Your son is absolutely adorable.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. We're absolutely humbled that you've taken the time to join us today. So fill us in on any blanks I may have left out in your introduction and give us a little bit more information about you.
Yeah, so we originally created Team Hunt in 2011 as part of the Hunt Michael Hollis Fund of the Community Foundation of Middle Tennessee in order to run for kids who can't. Doctors thought that Hunt might never walk, and so with lots of physical therapy, braces on his legs, and a walker, he eventually walked. And now he's running, jumping, hiking, overlanding, jumping on the trampoline, a typical 9-year-old kid. So we're very thankful for that. But
yeah, it's awesome.
So we started Team Hunt to support locally therapy programs like High Hopes Pediatric Therapy Clinic, where Hunt has a lot of therapy. And it grew and grew, and we were first just running races, and then we started doing fundraisers and all sorts of initiatives. And now we support lots of different programs, including Vanderbilt Children's Hospital, Make-A-Wish, the United Mitochondrial Disease Foundation. And we've kind of broadened our scope. And with overlanding, we've broadened it even more to not only support therapy programs for families of that have children with special needs, but also to support all families and just really encourage people to adventure, because we found that adventure is the best therapy for Hunt.
Okay, awesome. So tell us more about Team Hunt and what really inspired overland adventure for you guys.
Well, overlanding came to us from Hunt, actually. There's one of the reasons why we've kind of embraced it as a family is because Hunt is passionate about it. In fact, last year for Halloween, he was an overlander. So we
That's awesome.
live and breathe a little bit of overlanding in our house. We had some family challenges just like anybody a couple years ago. We had my father actually passed away. We had cancer diagnosis with some of our immediate family, actually two, both on my side and and Ellen's side. And there was a lot of hospital stays, a lot of hospital visits, and a lot of reflection on life when you have those moments. And during that is when Hunt actually started picking up overlanding videos on YouTube. And it actually started with RC trucks. And as you know, in YouTube and the algorithms within YouTube, if you watch this, you may enjoy that. And it's funny with RC trucks, there's a lot of overlanding videos that kind of overlap it. And he fell in love with Overland Bound. And the video is on Overland Bound. So it's Overland Bound and Expedition Overland, which I think a lot of 9-year-old boys probably certainly enjoy. And there was a trail that Michael from Overland Bound did in California that was called the Corral Hollow Trail. And out of at that time, there was about 60,000 views on YouTube, and I would guarantee about 20,000 of them were from Hunt Hollis. It was one of those life moments where we were watching that video, and we enjoyed camping and being together, and we said, you know what, this summer, we're going to do that. This is something that Hunt wants to do. This is something that we want to do, given realizing how complex life is and how short it is, that we're gonna take these moments. And he loved being outside anyway. Camping was already part of the family culture, and then overlanding became this thing that was a goal as a family and something that he certainly could embrace and love. And so that first big trip, there's prep trips that go into it, just like any big overlanding planning. And that was the first domino of many that fell for the family to get more into the lifestyle and encourage more folks to adventure just like we do.
And what is Hunt's favorite part of overlanding?
I think he loves it all. He loves, as he calls it, Jeep crawling.
Oh, nice.
He loves the camping, meeting new people. He loves to swim. So anytime that we come across a body of water, whether it's a creek, an ocean, a lake, he, runs as fast as he can to get in the water. But the thing that we really think that he likes the most is just being together as a family. When we go overlanding and we disconnect from technology, from being on the grid, from our cell phones, from work, from school, from therapy, and we were truly together and give him attention and just be together, we really think that that's all of our favorite parts of overlanding, but especially for Hunt. When we re-engage back in Nashville and go back to work, go back to school, go back to our therapies and tutoring and, all the responsibilities that we have, we find that he really misses us being together, and he talks about that. So I think as a family, we've just found that it's just the best thing that we can do for each other and together, and that's all of our favorite parts.
Can you tell us a little more about mitochondrial and how that may affect Hunt on a daily basis?
Sure. So mitochondrial disease is an energy disorder, and it's caused when the mitochondria of the cells doesn't produce enough energy for a major organ to function properly. So for some kids, it affects their heart. For some kids, it affects their brain and they have seizures. For Hunt, it's his GI system. So although he was born on his due date, on time, and all the tests, the first born tests were fine, from a very young age, he threw up daily, multiple times a day. So we knew something was not quite right. So through, lots of different testing and doing all sorts of things, it really took a full year to get diagnosed, but it was determined that his mitochondrial disease affects his GI system, which was causing all of this throwing up and delayed growth. So if you think about when you throw up at birth, you're probably scared to eat because you don't want anything in your system. So he's been in feeding therapy for 9 years now. When you don't eat, you don't develop the muscles in your mouth to talk. And so that caused delayed speech. So he's also been in speech therapy his whole life. One part of mitochondrial disease is that low muscle tone. And so riding's always been hard for him. There's been a lot of physical therapy, not only with his legs, but, with his hands and just his whole body.
Occupational therapy
as well. So it really, when you think about it, it affects every piece of your life. So between physical therapy, occupational therapy, feeding therapy, speech therapy, we've done some music therapy. And so it affects him physically, but it also affects him socially in school. He's definitely behind. He is in a regular school setting, but he does have a special ed teacher, therapist at school. He has a full-time aide that's with him all day long to help support him just get to where he needs to go. Thankfully, if you look at the scale of mitochondrial disease, most children with mitochondrial disease don't make it to adulthood. They're in a wheelchair for life. Most have a feeding tube, and really don't have a quality of life. We're very thankful that if you see Hunt, although he doesn't look 9 years old, he definitely looks like a typical little boy. He doesn't have a feeding tube, not in a wheelchair. Now, the challenge with mitochondrial disease is that it is progressive in nature. So there's always a chance that later on he could regress and, end up in a wheelchair or with a feeding tube. But we're just concentrating on the now. And, he's doing great and he's happy. And, although he may not graduate with a high school diploma, we just want him to be happy and healthy and be able to, support himself as he gets older.
Being together outside and adventure is kind of so critical because we have the risk that he can regress. So being present is really a family mantra right now, and making sure that we do as much as we can while we can together, which is one of the big components of Team Hunt Adventure and what we're trying to kind of profess and gospelize to everybody out there.
And I'll say too, in a typical school setting, Hunt is not the most successful. But in overlanding, it's a place that he can be successful, and he's, we can give him chores and jobs, and he can really find his place. And again, with all of these, as he looks at them, celebrities, Overland Bound, Lifestyle Overland, 410 Expedition, all of these people that he looks up to, it's not about school. It's not about making a grade. It's about just going out and adventuring and hiking and exploring in nature. And that's something that everyone can be successful in. So that has been really good for his self-worth and self-esteem.
I think that's just amazing that he's getting out there. And if that's a place where he really thrives and enjoys, awesome for you guys for supporting that.
Yeah, if it was up to Hunt, we would live in the Jeep and live somewhere close to a creek, and he embraces it. That's for sure.
Yeah, we call him Mobley. He's just like the kid from
Jungle Book.
Jungle Book.
Yeah,
that's a good one.
So tell us about your current vehicle and any name you may have given it.
So we came up with the name for the Jeep. It's a 2013 JK Wrangler that we bought a few years ago. But we came up with the name while we were in Yosemite, and we were literally we were parked just in front of El Capitan, and we're hiking that day. And I think Hunt was having fun with the name Capitan and just kept saying Captain. And we thought, you know what? That is a great name for the Jeep. And so that's where Captain came from. Officially it would be Captain on a birth certificate, but for Hunt, it's Captain. So we endeavor in that. It's pretty fun.
And what is that one thing you value the most, either on or in your vehicle?
Well, like any vehicle or any rig that's kind of in the overlanding space, it's a journey with that vehicle and kind of fine tuning it for the needs of the expeditions or trips or weekend getaways that you do in it. For us, it's probably common among other guests you've had and people in the community, especially with Hunt. We started with the fridge first, just because we've had to accommodate medicine and his nutrition needs. I mean, that's the priority. So I would say, we value that most, which means we actually value our batteries first and in the fridge. So, how we do power and how we accommodate the fridge to house everything that we need to adventures is probably the biggest priority, I would say. And something that we didn't have. I think that's a luxury that we certainly, it'd be difficult to live without. That's for sure.
Okay. Anything you originally packed that you never used or removed from your overall setup?
Well, the first thing is, we're both smiling. Ellen and I are smiling at each other. If you were seeing the video, you'd laugh because our first trip to California, when we left, headed towards Yosemite, you would have thought that we were a boat that needed the motor trimmed out,
Right.
Because it was so loaded down. We stopped at 2 FedExes to send back stuff that we didn't need.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we were very ambitious, and we'd even brought an inflatable YOLO board because we had this this romantic adventure vision of doing stand-up boards on in some small lake at 10,000 feet elevation. So that quickly changed about 2 hours into the trip. Like we don't need this. So I would say we overpacked on some of the recreational gear and some kitchen gear. There's a lot of stuff that you can do that you can minimize, especially for cleanup and stuff like that. It makes it so much easier.
In clothes, you think you need so much, and then you get on the road and you realize how little you really need to live. And so we've definitely minimized our clothes, our kitchen gear, like Mike said, recreational activities. But on the flip side, we've increased, cameras, gimbals, drone. So anything that captures our trip, we've increased what we have, but what we need, so-called need on a daily basis, we've definitely decreased in terms of just gear.
Yeah, like our most recent trip in Canada, it was tough because we were literally in 3 climate zones. So it would be, 90 in a valley in Montana. Then as we get up to Jasper and other areas at night, it would be, sub 30s Fahrenheit. So it would get pretty chilly. So for all things, but we did our best to minimize that as much as we could. And hunt too, as a, for families out there, with hunt we have things that we have to bring related to therapies and some stuff that Ellen does educationally with hunt, but we have to limit what toys it can bring, just because we only have so much real estate for that. And that's a great little exercise for the kids to go through. Of what do they really need and what do they want versus need? And we pack his toys in a toolbox. It's kind of some people can look at it and see a toolbox or a tackle box, fishing box. And all his essential toys are in that box. If they can't fit, they can't go. And that is that's his religion once we get to a campsite, to make sure that box gets out, gets set up, and he can play with his toys when need be. But yeah, it's good family exercise to do that.
It's mostly Hot Wheels, monster trucks, and mini overlanding vehicles.
Pretty much.
That's awesome. Like any boy, right?
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
It's necessary.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So what are your current top 2 or 3 destinations, along with a little detail on what made them so special for you?
The original trail, like I mentioned, that Corral Hollow Trail was just because it was such an important family moment for us, and it was kind of diverse that year, being at the top. That was a special moment for us. But this last trip, and kind of did a reverse arc, starting around Seattle, and then going to Nowhere, where we met you guys after the Northwest Overland Rally. Then over to Montana, and up into Alberta, over to British Columbia, kind of close to Alaska, and then down and over in Vancouver Island. But Glacier is a magical place. That was a great place. We had some phenomenal hiking there. Really enjoyed it. And we were on the road for close to 5 weeks, and that was the first part of our second week, and I think that was the last week we could do campfires. Mm-hmm. So that was one disappointing thing that is becoming more of a trend, especially in July and August, is the amount of fires that are. So that was unfortunate, but the beauty of the environment in Banff and Jasper was just amazing, and we ended our trip on Vancouver Island, and really in Tofino, sleepy surfing town. It's a great destination. I encourage any overlander, if they've got the chance to do it. There's a handful of trails that are close to there. And it's just a great little town. The people are super nice, and it's an overlander's vibe, that's for sure. Overlanders that like surfing vibe, I should say. But I guess the special thing for us is where we were in a cove, hanging out at the beach and trying to learn how to surf, and realized that where we were staying, close to where we were staying, the Prime Minister was there from Canada. And so I think Hunt got a high five and a hello from the Prime Minister, which was kind of a memorable trip for us.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, it was fun. It was a great spot. It was a beautiful, everywhere in Tofino was really pretty.
Yeah, all of Canada was amazing. Yeah. Just the blue lakes, and the people were great. Yeah, all of last summer was awesome.
So how do you plan for what groceries to buy, and what tips can you provide our listeners in making a grocery list while overlanding with a young child?
So originally we had, tons of recipes printed out of these grandiose plans of fancy meals at night
Okay.
and spices and things like that. And what we've really found is, the easier the better. And it's amazing how good any food tastes when you're out in the woods. I mean, when you're camping all day or hiking all day, and then you're going to camp and you're around a campfire, hopefully, and you're just tired and hungry, anything is gourmet. So we have really found that, yes, we have some favorite recipes, anything on the scuttle, whether it's turkey sausage with vegetables or eggs in the morning. That's definitely a go-to. But the easier the better, because the other issue that we found is that you think that there will be a grocery store or a place to get supplies, and there may not be where you are. So planning that in advance is definitely helpful. And Brenton Corns with 4x4 Adventures has helped us with that, figure out where the gas stations are, where the hospitals are, where the grocery stores are. But there were definitely times when we needed milk for Hunt or supplies, and we shopped in a gas station. And again, it's amazing what you can find in a gas station. But definitely the essentials for Hunt would be peanut butter, bread, mac and cheese, bananas, just those simple things that that work. And the amazing thing with Hunt, too, is that when you have just what you have, then you're going to eat a lot more. So, he's been in feeding therapy his whole life, and just this past summer, what he will eat and what he is not afraid to try it's amazing. It astonishes us every night.
Oh, interesting.
If you're hungry, you're going to eat what's there and available. So it has been great for him, just from a therapy standpoint, and good for us.
Yeah, and stocking, you can imagine in the Jeep, we have a limited room, so we have kind of go-to favorites. Hunt loves things that are carb-oriented, so that's a lot of dry goods. It's easy to pack, but, to Ellen's point, anything on a Timbo Tusk on the Scottle is, the simpler the better, and those meals have been some of our best that have the least amount of ingredients. It's tough to pack 100% fresh and cook fresh every night, but I would encourage looking online at some of the forums and anything related to some of the Scottle recipes, because those are pretty simple to pull together. And
okay. And on hygiene, do you have a shower and toilet setup, or what's your recommendation for keeping it simple and hygienic on the road?
We're big believers in wipes, that is for sure.
As all overlanders are, right?
Right. So there's
wet ones, Clorox wipes,
yeah,
body wipes, all of it.
There was a couple. There were the shower wipes. They were kind of larger. I can't remember the brand name.
It's called Good Wipes.
Yeah, we've picked up some of that stuff from REI, and then just traditional kind of wet ones and whatnot that you would see for kids and stuff like that. We also brought in, but we leveraged the Clorox wipes quite a bit, and kind of wiping down tables and trying to sanitize things like the stove and stuff like that, especially if you're in bear country, just trying to make sure we do what we need to do to clean up. But Ellen's an awesome mom and an awesome wife, because some of those 8 and 9 night stays, where the's no shower to be had. I've got a very patient family for that.
But we do have a toilet.
Yeah. It's a traditional packable kind of compact toilet you can set up, and we do have a packable shower. I think it's the Nemo. It's like a 4 or 5 gallon, I think. That's pretty packable and easy. And that we kind of double down on that as both if we need a shower, like for Hunt. Like Ellen mentioned, he loves getting in the creek, and he'll come back muddy as all get out, and using that to kind of spray him down. But also using that to help wash dishes, stuff like that.
And we also have a pop-up privacy little tent that we can use on the side of the road or in the middle of the woods, which has been helpful. And I will say we have realized how important having quarters are, so that when you do find a campground that has showers, if you need quarters, that you have them available. Yeah. Those have been helpful.
Okay. And anything you'd change about your current setup?
Well, the bigger Hunt gets, the smaller our tent gets.
That is for sure.
We have an awesome Tepui tent. And the first year, Mike and I were laid there and Hunt was at our feet. This past year, every morning we would wake up and he'd be between us, which was great. But as he gets older, I feel like we might need to upgrade the tent to maybe a bigger size, so that the tent can be on the trailer and we can leave when we want to. That's one challenge we faced, is that once you set up at a campground with a Tepui tent on top of the Jeep, you can't leave.
Yeah, you're kind of committed for a little bit.
Right, and we've missed out on a handful of adventures just because we kind of set up base camp and couldn't go to a trail that was 30 minutes down the road, just because it would have been putting stuff up, putting stuff down. But it's it also depends on the destination where we go. That kind of evolves the rig and the necessities of what we need, what we don't need. So I would just say that's a little bit of caveat, but yeah, he's a growing boy. We're thankful he's a growing boy.
Right.
That tent got tight the last couple of weeks. Yeah.
So what's the number one biggest challenge you've faced on the road?
I think just the concern for Hunt's health. There's been a couple of times on the road that he has thrown up. Will be, whether it's because he's too excited or his GI system is just not working that day, or we've been on curvy roads. It actually happened on the way to Northwest Overland Rally. And he just, he loses it in the car and there's throw up everywhere. So again, there's the need for the Clorox wipes and a change of clothes and air freshener. And, that is definitely a scary thing that we face.
Yeah, I bet. Okay.
You just have to be prepared for it. And again, make sure that you know where the hospitals are, where the walk-in clinics are, have medicine on hand, not only for us, but also for Hunt. And any person would need this, not just someone with special needs, but, to be prepared with the Tylenol and the Advil and the Benadryl and Neosporin and Band-Aids and just, all of that. In addition, for him, we need, paper bags and a way to wash our clothes and all of that. But we will say that, when he was 2, he was throwing up 5 times a day. Where we are now is, maybe once a month. So things are definitely getting better. So it's less of a concern, but there's always that concern. I'm sure for any parent when you are traveling that your child's going to be sick.
So that's some GHT if I've ever heard any.
Oh, absolutely. Like just being grateful to surround yourself with your children, family.
Yeah, like grateful for every day and every moment you've got with your loved ones.
Yeah.
Absolutely fascinating. Very, I would say very inspirational and very eye-opening. Not only did we learn about mitochondrial disease, which I had honestly never heard of before, or if I did, I don't remember, but educated on that, traveling with kids, traveling with a child that has some special needs. What else did we pick up?
I'm just Mike himself being that humble I mean, he did a triathlon.
Yeah, that's right.
Not to get kudos or recognition, but just so this 30-year-old man can experience what he can give him.
Yeah, and to raise awareness for mitochondrial.
Right.
Just absolutely. I was blown away by that. The fact that he pulled this man in a boat. I forget the order, and Ellen just reminded me what it was today, and I already forget. So I apologize, Ellen. I know that you corrected me. But for the swim, he was basically in a boat, and Mike pulled him along. And then in the bike section, he pulled him in a cart. And then in the run section, took that same cart, turned it around, and pushed him.
Yeah.
Both so this man could experience, and this is a 30-year-old man, so I'm assuming he's not just a little guy. It's a lot of extra weight.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, how many people can run a triathlon, let alone pulling and pushing somebody else?
Yeah. That's
Just
determination.
Fascinating.
And then having tenacity in...
Every day to get through it.
Exactly. But this is everyday life for them.
Yep. They've got every reason to stay home and do nothing but watch YouTube videos. But they've gotten the tenacity to go out and actually physically do these things. And I think that this story, and I'm hoping this episode will be very inspirational to other people that may or may not have a family to go with them. They may or may not have somebody with special needs. It may be a couple, it may be an individual, who knows? It could be a combination of all of these things. But look at what this family has accomplished. There's no reason that you and I or anybody else can't go overland and can't go out and do the same thing that they're doing.
Exactly.
And do some good along the way.
Yeah. They're getting out of the vehicle and surrounding themselves in their environment.
Yep.
Perfect summary.
Mic drop. That was great. And that's only episode 1.
Yeah.
We've got second half next week. So look forward to that. It's a great episode. And coincidentally, now that I'm thinking about it, it was just after we recorded this episode, I got a message from Adventure with 6. And they had asked, have you done any more episodes, or do you have any episodes coming up with more guests with kids? Because they had just listened to the episode with Ray Highland, who he and his wife traveled with their 3 boys. So it brought up a really good point, and I appreciate the message. And we need to dig a little bit deeper into folks that we talk with, like Ray Highland, that are traveling with kids, and bring some more information to people. Their question was, have you talked to the people that have, quote unquote, figured it out? I don't know if anybody has ever figured it out perfectly, but yes, some people have more experience than others. So,
Well, experience and patience.
Yep.
When you travel with kids.
Well, experience brings patience. Potentially.
Yes.
Depends on. Anyway, I think we should do a better job of finding people, families that are overlanding. I think that's a great idea to do some more interviews with them. And when we talk to somebody like Ray Highland that has traveled with kids, to dig a little deeper into those subjects on how did you keep everybody entertained? How did you not absolutely lose your mind? Where there are, wine and whiskey stops every 10 miles. I mean, how did you keep your sanity? We have 2 kids and we did a little bit of traveling, but looks like they may have a total of 6 people. So if they have 6, how many kids is that?
4.
So they got 4 kids. Mike and Ellen bring a lot of value in this episode with traveling with kids, either with or without special needs. I don't think it matters. I think they brought up a lot of really good points on that. So I hope that helps. And we will also do some digging to see if we can get some more interviews with people that have got experience overlanding with children in tow.
Yes, because what I found when we attended Northwest Overland Rally, there were quite a few families that were attending.
Ton of families, like all families.
And it just kind of is an eye-opener to our generation that we're bringing up, and then the next one. I believe there's going to be more adventuring out. I think Ellen summed it up. The outside and being adventuresome is great therapy at any level.
Absolutely right. So be sure to check out the show notes, because the show notes for this episode are the most lengthy we've ever had. And we've got some really good information, especially towards the end of the show notes with traveling with kids. So I hope that's helpful. We love your feedback. Lisa, where can they find the show notes?
You can find them at ghtOverland.com/podcast. Select the Team Hunt episode. All the details and helpful links are already there for you.
That's awesome. So be sure and send your suggestions, questions, and feedback to ghtOverlandPodcast@gmail.com. And if you've got an Amazon Echo, be sure to tell Alexa, play the GHT Overland podcast. We'd love it if you'd connect with us on social media as well at GHT Overland. Be sure to share this episode with your friends who enjoy travel off the beaten path, especially if they've got a family or somebody with special needs with them. Overland travel is all about meeting new friends, seeing the most amazing places on earth, and of course, new food and new drinks.
Do you have a favorite drink or food recipe for overlanding? We'd love to feature it and you, so send them to ghtOverlandPodcast@gmail.com. Before you race off, it would mean the world to us if you rate and review the podcast. Give GHT Overland a little podcast love over on the iTunes so we can reach as many overlanders as possible. Thank you, and we will see you next Thursday for part 2 of the GHT Overland podcast with Team Hunt.
Go Team Hunt!